Welcome, everybody, on this Friday, April 29th, 2011. I'm Harris Faulkner, your host for the first live hour of FoxNews.com. And I am so glad to be with you this morning. I normally join you about an hour from now, but we're breaking out into a longer, extended format so that we can bring you some of the festivities and events that are still to come, actually, on the schedule for the Royal, they are now Royal Highness, and they're both HRH now. William and Kate. So we're still watching. In about 24 minutes from now, they're scheduled to have their first public kiss. Although we've seen them kiss many times, but this will be the first public kiss as husband and wife. And if you've been following the ceremony this morning, whether on television or listening by radio or watching online, for those of us who vowed that it'll be another day, it's just another wedding, it really hasn't been. It's been very special. And a lot of the pomp and circumstance is really per the two of them. I mean, they seem to have really personalized it, and it's pretty neat to watch. So for the next hour, we're going to have a whole panel of guests. We'll have live reports from our Jonathan Hunt, who's there. I share an office space with Jonathan Hunt, and I have to tell you that at least once a week I break out into a British accent, because I do. So I'm really excited for him to be back in his homeland of the UK today and bringing us part of this event. That'll be really fun to have him along. I want to get you caught up, though, because I was trying to watch on my iPad this morning, and a lot of the video sites were just running so slowly it was hard to do, and there were certain segments that I missed that I want to see over and over again. So online, we can still do that because we can edit. Thank goodness. So before we even bring in a guest, I just want to take a look back, if we could, at William and Kate exchanging their vows. We have a little bit of that. Watch and listen.
William Arthur Philip Louis, wilt thou have this woman to thy wedded wife, to live together according to God's law in the holy estate of matrimony? Wilt thou love her, comfort her, honour and keep her, in sickness and in health, and forsaking all other keep thee only unto her, so long as ye both shall live?
I will.
Catherine Elizabeth, wilt thou have this man to thy wedded husband, to live together according to God's law in the holy estate of matrimony? Wilt thou love him, comfort him, honour and keep him, in sickness and in health, and forsaking all other keep thee only unto him, so long as ye both shall live?
I will.
I actually watched this morning as that was happening, and the ring got stuck on her finger just a little bit. I can tell you, having just celebrated my 8th anniversary this month, that on the day of the wedding, a couple things go wrong. One, you're probably not drinking as many fluids as you need to be because you're a little on the nervous side and not sleeping as much as you need to. And then the other thing is your body heat just runs a little bit hotter. So you kind of swell up like a pomegranate. And so as he's trying to put that ring on her finger, I totally knew how she felt, because she's a really thin girl and that ring got stuck. But it fits. It's on the princess now. Let me welcome our guest now. Carl Walsh is sitting next to me. He is the Director of Travel, Trade and Business Visits, Visit Britain. Glad to have you this morning.
Thank you.
Welcome. And you'll be able to tell us all about landmarks and things that we're seeing. You can be our tour guide.
Great, I can do that.
We'll enjoy that so much. And then joining us via satellite this morning is John Brown. He's a former member of Parliament and commissioned into the Grenadiers, and forgive me if I don't say it right, of the Royal Guard, and senior market strategist at Euro-Pacific Capital. A former member of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, John Brown joining us this morning.
Good morning. Good morning, Harris.
Thanks so much for
being
here.
Good morning, Carl.
Good morning.
All right. Well, by the end of this hour, I will be speaking like Madonna, because she also picked up a fake American-British accent. So maybe I'll have that by the end of the hour. John, I want to start with you just in terms of what this day means. You know, a lot of Americans and people around the world, some 2 billion are estimated to be watching, many of them online, because some of them don't have cable or television. They watch via their iPad or their computer. What does this mean, really? Because what's their job? Why are we focused on them? As a former member of Parliament, you have a government in London and Great Britain. But why this couple? Why are they important?
Well, of course, he's the future heir to the throne, one removed, Prince Charles in between, and she will be queen, of course. And that's a most interesting question you asked, because it hints, at least, of the role of the monarchy. You say I was a member of Parliament in government. Basically, you've got to remember that it is Her Majesty's government. It is not just the government. And the Prime Minister is like the CEO of a company. The Cabinet is like the Board of Directors, and the members of Parliament are like the shareholders, but the chairman of the board, and extremely powerful, is the monarch. And the thing is that we have evolved from an absolute monarchy when the king or the queen had absolute power to a parliamentary democracy, parliamentary democratic monarchy. And what it means is that they're the Queen's government, but the Queen takes the advice of her CEO, which is the Prime Minister, and her Cabinet, and her Privy Council, of course, and of Parliament. And the advantage is that the monarch is removed, although very, very powerful, is removed from party politics, which is, of course, where most people get torn apart, is in party politics. So the roles, we have a head of state, like the chairman of the board, and a CEO. In America, it was basically designed originally for a chairman, which was going to be the elected president, and a CEO, which was the Secretary of State for Finance, or, you know, the Financial Treasury Secretary, rather. And the same as in Britain, the official title of the Prime Minister is First Secretary of the Treasury. Slang title is Prime Minister. And when Jefferson had that role, he combined the two. He acted as Prime Minister when he was Secretary of State for the Treasury, but when he became President, he didn't pass on the CEO role. He became Chairman and CEO. So he got involved, and all presidents in America since have been involved in party politics. The power of the Queen, for example, is to sign a bill into an Act of Parliament, to open and close Parliament. These are huge powers. To be the commander of the armed forces, every single officer and non-commissioned officer swears allegiance not to Parliament or the Crown or the country, but to the Queen in person.
That is so fascinating to me.
The power to appoint foreign ambassadors, to appoint ministers, bishops. That's very, very powerful. And the Queen has even her own private spy in Parliament, paid for by Parliament. Everybody knows, it's so far only been a man, everybody knows who he is, but nobody knows what he writes to the Queen every single day.
Interesting.
Not even the Prime Minister. So it's very hard for the Prime Minister to sort of bluff his way and say, oh, well, when the Queen says, how does this act going through? Is this bill going through very well, Prime Minister? And he says, oh, fine, fine, Prime Minister. But he doesn't know what the spy has written, that it's going through very difficult times. So well, the Queen is extremely powerful, but not involved in party politics.
Very
and
interesting.
That is why it's a sort of clever role, and your question was very perceptive. And so here we have Prince William, who will be king.
Right. The reason I asked the question, John, is because as we watched this morning, I was trying to explain to my 4-year-old, you know, exactly, and yes, my little ones actually do get up before the crack of dawn still. I was trying to explain to her, well, what is exactly a princess and a prince in 2011? And you've done it beautifully. They're the chairman of the board of the monarchy. We'll talk more with you about the politics of it all, because that's absolutely my favorite part of the conversation,
and of course,
I have to admit.
The cost you mentioned, you know, the fact is,
hold on one second,
this is probably
John.
the greatest show on earth.
Absolutely. If you'll bear with me 1 second, I do want to get to Carl, but before I even do that, Carl...
Oh, sorry,
I want to get to Jonathan Hunt, who's live there in London for us. And Jonathan, I have shared with our audience that you and I have quite a connection here in New York. We share an office, and every now and then I break out into a British accent and get all excited. As we watched this morning, I'm so thrilled. This is your home. I mean, you can tell us things that we normally wouldn't even notice. What hit you between the eyes about today so far?
I think, Harris, quite simply the affection that you can feel spilling out of the hundreds of thousands of people who've taken to the streets of central London for the royal family. I think over the past couple of decades, of course, the Queen has had a pretty tough time. Today, I think we saw the future of the royals, the future of the British monarchy transferred to a new couple, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, Kate and William. And I think you saw in their demeanour with the way they deported themselves on the way to Westminster Abbey, and even more so in that open carriage on their way back here to Buckingham Palace, where I am right now. It was really quite extraordinary how relaxed they were, how humorous they were. I was just talking to Shep and Martha on our news channel coverage about a lip reader that the Press Association, which is a domestic wire service here, hired for this. They said that that lip reader said that when William first saw Michael Middleton, Kate's father, inside Westminster Abbey, he looked at him and said, "I thought we were doing a small family affair." And I think that's a great sort of glimpse of the humour and just how relaxed they were all feeling inside there. And Kate, I think, has been quite extraordinary from the moment she stepped into that Rolls-Royce outside the Goring Hotel. She was waving rather frantically. You know, the Queen has this sort of rather stately wave, a little like this, a little slow twirl. Well, when Kate first got in, she was obviously a little nervous. She was doing more of this, somewhat frantic. By the time she got into the open-top carriage after the ceremony, she'd slowed it all down, become a lot more royal, growing into the role within minutes of being put in that role. So I think what you've seen today is an extraordinary day for Great Britain, and most importantly, perhaps, an extraordinary day for the Queen herself, a woman who is held throughout everything that the royal family has been through, has been held in high regard by the people of Great Britain. They've had a lot of sympathy for her. She has obviously been let down by some of her own children, and now I think you see the people of Britain thinking, there's the grandson getting married. We wish you, the Queen of England, all the best. We've loved you through everything that has gone on, and now we share this joyful day with you. I think it has been an absolutely magnificent day, Harris, and I think in about 10 to 15 minutes on the balcony behind me here at Buckingham Palace, you will see Kate and William, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, come out onto that balcony with other members of the royal family, and that is when we will see the major moment of the day, when we see them kiss for the first time. The crowds who have now been guided into the circle here in front of Buckingham Palace by the police, hundreds of thousands of them, will start chanting the minute they get on that balcony, "Kiss her, kiss her, kiss her," just as they did in 1981 with Charles and Diana. Then we'll see the kiss, and then there will be the loudest cheer of the day. Make sure you don't miss it on FoxNews.com. You can see it on the channel across all the Fox platforms. It's going to be the culmination of what has really been a quite remarkable day, Harris.
You know, as a little boy growing up in that part of the world, how does this affect you personally?
If I could remember when I was a little boy, I'd tell you. It was so long ago I really can't remember. But no, it's a great day for all of us. You know, for someone like me who moved to the United States something like 15, 16 years ago now, you become a little cynical about Britain. You see the sort of the downsides of the country you grew up in, and you see the pluses of the United States perhaps a little more. You maybe even become a little bit cynical about the royal family. But coming back, and I've been here a week or so now, Harris, and seeing the build up to this, seeing the day, seeing the way Britain does this pomp and ceremony, seeing the affection that the royal family is once again held in now, is really quite uplifting. It's been a joyful day for me personally, as well as for every single one of the hundreds of thousands, if not 1 million people on the streets of London today, as well as I think something like 2 billion watching around the world, Harris.
Yeah, you know, I'm on Twitter, and I was seeing some tweets yesterday from people in Britain, and they were saying, "Oh, we don't care about this." And then I look at the streets there, and I'm thinking, well, they must have been in the minority on that issue, because a lot of people do care about it. Jonathan Hunt, thank you so very much. We appreciate your reporting and your perspective. We miss you back here in New York, but you're doing a great job there. And we look forward to the kiss about 9.5 minutes from now. Are you going to chant?
Yes, indeed.
I knew you would.
I may well be chanting. I may well drop my fair and balanced approach and cry for a kiss.
Oh, goodness gracious. Well, whoever kisses you, good luck with that. Thanks, Jonathan.
Maybe I'll turn into a prince.
You already are. Now stop that. Your wife would be disappointed if she didn't know that already. Okay, you know what? Jonathan was talking about the arrival of Kate getting out of, or excuse me, Princess Catherine. Like, we roll like that. Like, I know her. I can just call her Kate. Getting out of the Rolls-Royce. Let's roll that right now and bring in Carl Walsh. Visit Britain. He knows the pomp and circumstance that goes on there, and he knows these landmarks so well. Talk to me, Carl, about this scene that played out a couple of hours ago.
I think it's just amazing that, we've been able to showcase to the world, with all the eyes of the world, watching this right now, we've been able to show what we can really throw a party, and we can celebrate. I mean, what I love about this scenario is the first time that we've seen the dress, we heard who the actual designer was. And what I like about that is that Kate has really kept it all British. She's gone with a British designer, Sarah Burton, for Alexander McQueen. All of the materials that make up that dress are British. And, she looks absolutely stunning, very, very sophisticated, elegant, and, there is pomp and pageantry there, and yet she's so sophisticated and carries it off so beautifully.
The dress to you, is it fitting of this particular landmark?
Yeah, I think so, because from what we know, and I think you can tell by looking at the dress, what Kate wanted, she worked very closely with Sarah Burton on the design, and she wanted the tradition, which she's got through all of the lace that makes up the dress. She wanted to also bring in the modernity, the modern Britain as well, and I think you've got that by the style of the dress, and also the length of the train, etc. And yet she also wanted to make sure that she carried through the work of a British designer, and that's what I think she's done. She's combined the three things.
And this particular place where they got married, what can you tell us about it?
Well, Westminster Abbey, absolutely stunning, beautiful building. I mean, for anybody who did see the interior, which you can see as we enter now.
It's gorgeous. Absolutely
gorgeous. I mean, the aerial shots that you got from above, looking down onto the actual ceremony, incredible. The Abbey itself was once, or is also known as the House of Kings. It's really where all of the monarchs are, the coronations take place, so that the Queen had her coronation there. Coronations over the years have taken place at the Abbey, as well as the monarch burials as well, and also other famous people who have been buried there. And also, I think for this day in particular, for William, his mother's funeral service was held there as well. So it's not where his parents married, but I think that's where he's got the connection with his mother still, bringing it back into the Abbey.
Absolutely. I look forward to talking with you more about the different landmarks and aspects around the city as people are gathering all over the place, outside the places. And of course, we're also joined this morning by John Brown. He's a former member of Parliament. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation and much, much more. Stay with us. I want to welcome back our guest via satellite, John Brown. He's a former member of Parliament. And, you know, John, we were talking about the politics of things right off the open of the show. And I have to confess to you, because you don't know me, you haven't done the show before, it's usually a mostly political hour. And a lot of the viewers that watch are on this live chat. They take a part in the conversation. And they're now reacting to some of the things that you said. So if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to share with you a couple of thoughts. And I have to warn you, their handles are not their birth names. For instance, Fox Guy writes, the royals do have much more political power than we in America realize. Is that true?
Not the royals, but the sovereign. The sovereign does have much more. Of course, they also have influence. You know, a shop, for example, Prince Charles, who's not yet the sovereign, when he buys his goods from Turnbull and Asser or someone like that, they love to put his coat of arms on the door because it's great marketing. Well, that's sort of power. It's financial power, and they give, and of course they earn a fortune for Britain. When they go on trade missions and things like that, attracting businessmen to receptions with British businessmen, they do billions of dollars worth of business for Britain every year, but they're unpaid. It's like having the greatest movie ever and not paying the stars. And so all these people that sort of snipe at the monarchy and say, oh, well, this thing cost £40 million £40 million to put on, I mean, they're talking in an absolute ridiculous and ignorant manner, because the sovereign and the royal family are earning many, many times the cost that they actually cost for the nation.
Yeah, you know, I heard it.
And they're the unpaid actors.
Yeah, I heard it put very well, actually, in some of the coverage, that they are basically the ambassadors, if you will, of marketing for Great Britain. I mean, they're sort of, you know, they're sort of our best designer and our best media relations person put out in the open. I want to bring in some more guests, John, if you'll allow me just a couple of minutes to introduce, and then we'll bring everybody back in the conversation, including those online. There's a little bit of a chat room gossip going on right now. Kirk Mihalik writes, who was that absolutely gorgeous woman holding the princess's train? And Fox Guy writes, well, that was her sister, Kirk. And then Kirk writes, is she single? And Fox Guy writes, I believe so, but I'm not sure. And he says, I think Prince Harry was giving her the eye. Kirk writes, well, who are you kidding? The whole world was giving her the eye. I mean, this is just such the thing. I absolutely love it. Let's welcome now Mara Urschel. She's the co-owner of Kleinfeld. And I don't know if you've watched Say Yes to the Dress.
Say Yes to the Dress.
I watched it for the very first time yesterday. They had wannabe princesses on. I love the episode.
The Princess Bride
is a huge wedding shop, hugely popular wedding shop here in New York. You guys are featured all over a lot of those shows.
Yeah, we're the largest in the United States as designer.
When women go in there to buy a dress, I think of mortgage payments. I mean, I think of the fact that the only way that I would ever get to try one on is if it were for a story that I was covering.
But think of the memories.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Peter Shankman is here, social media consultant, Shankman.com. And I'm allowing him to stay on his BlackBerry without being permanently offended, because that's how we roll on here. On the online show, we don't, you know, I usually have an iPad, but I have so much paper today that I can't. Welcome to you both. Peter, I'm curious for you to read some of your tweets, because you're monitoring a lot of people who are talking about this wedding. Share with us.
I've been up since about 4 in the morning, which means
watching Fox coverage.
Watching Fox coverage, but more than that, watching Twitter, just to get some of the best tweets that we found. And there are some funny people out there. Steve Feld said, you know, this would be a lot more authentic if they just tossed in a few beheadings. This is Green Wellies said as they were leaving, I'm sure Kate is desperate for a shot of gin and a cigarette. Is she texting ahead from the carriage for one? And then at Gabu said, you know, the royal wedding, it's like a Steve Jobs keynote, but for girls. And I thought that was brilliant. One of my favorites, though, has to be Joe the Kendall said, you know, they've been really lucky with the traffic lights so far.
Oh, that's just awful.
And what's great about this is that in the social media world, everyone has an opinion, and the funniest ones really sort of rise to the top. Carl Maxim said, for any Americans watching, while the bishops have capes, they are not technically superheroes and they cannot fly.
Oh, great. And then, so they're dissing us. By the way, that $2 billion, we probably make up a big chunk of that.
Oh, no
they better
question
be nice
about
to
it.
us.
No.
All that marketing, we're buying all that stuff.
On the other side of the coin, as funny as many people were, there are really a lot of interesting tech facts out there. Gabrielle Lane Peters at Gabrielle NYC posted tons of stuff about how Google, the Google's, you know, on Google homepage, their doodle every morning. Their morning doodle today was for the royal wedding. It was a London scene. Telegraph has photos of that.
Really?
And then,
I'm going to go to that on my computer.
Yeah, it should be google.com.
Cool.
Should show you that. And then there are some great, Mashable has some great updates on how Twitter sees the royal wedding with live charts and great visualizations at Mashable.com, and that's in real time as well.
So this is really different.
It's you know what it is? It's the first planned big event that hit Twitter. All the other breaking news, Michael Jackson's death, things like that, were unplanned. This was really the first one that was planned. People had time to sit around and say, okay, here's how I want to watch this. Here's the social media aspects I'm going to use. I'm going to watch it on Twitter, on Facebook, on Fox, whatever it is. And they really, the streams were good. The majority of the streams were decent. I know you had a problem with some of the streams this morning, but the internet as a whole is saying that the streams were pretty good.
Some of them were really slow on my iPad.
Everyone was loving that top camera down as well.
I want to also remind everybody that Carl Walsh is sitting next to me from Visit Britain. Let's get Mara's ideas about the dress. What did you think?
Well, it was so anticipated.
Okay, hold on 1 second. The couple is coming out.
Oh, here we go.
This is the kiss. Let's pause for just a moment.
And the Queen's going to stand back now and let them soak up the atmosphere.
That was...
All right, we're watching, and you know, I had a discussion about this earlier. It is Prince William now, but right before the ceremony, there was a press release put out by the Queen, well, not her personally, but her people, saying that they are now the Duke of Cambridge and the Duchess of Cambridge. And I got all offended because, you know, I'm just an American. I don't know these things. Because I said, well, does that mean she's not the princess? And Carl reined me in, no pun intended. He told me what, Carl?
My understanding is she's automatically a princess. However, when any royals marry, or when the wedding takes place, they are automatically also given a Duke and Duchess title. And there has been a lot of speculation over the months on where that would be, the title would be from. But they have been given the title of His and Her Royal Highness, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge.
All right, and now, Mara, the
it's
dress.
a courtesy title.
The dress.
The dress. It didn't disappoint by any means. It was a classic, what we expected, with modernism combined. The laces were amazing. Oh, the kiss.
Oh, that was quick.
That was a quick one, yeah.
Oh, what happened there? That was like a drive-by princess kiss. Wait a minute. I hope we were rolling on that. Mara was just talking about the lace on the dress, and he planted one on her.
That was a quarter of a second at the most.
And there's the lace on the dress.
Now, see, I don't know. Was that because there was a long courtship and they've been together for 9 years and this is one of those things? John Brown, I mean, former member of Parliament, we waited all day to see this, but some of us have been up since 3. What happened there?
My own feeling is that I think they're very private people.
Okay.
And a combination of a seeking of privacy and maybe a little shyness did that, in my personal opinion. And of course, Duke of Cambridge is the courtesy title for a prince. He's right. In the old days, that was what gave you the land. That was the income by being Duke of Cambridge.
Wow, I'm asking our senior producer, Maria, if we can re-rack that, re-edit that. I mean, it was just... wow. Okay, let's talk about the dress, because they don't want to kiss each other anymore. So you think it's appropriate for the event? You know, I saw some live chat here. Some people thought it was way too frou-frou formal. They thought maybe something more modern from her. I loved it, personally. I was glad she was in a tiara.
I disagree with that. I think that there was a modernism that was very, very important in the dress, especially the low cut of the dress, the sweetheart neckline underneath the lace, which is really what's very popular right now, but she combined it with a covered up look, which she obviously had to. But it was a simple dress, but it was also very complicated. When you looked at the lace and the way it was constructed, and the gazar and the lace on the skirt, it was absolutely amazing. We ran through our stock looking at what we had that was like it.
You're familiar with Sarah Burton's work, the
Absolutely.
dress designer.
Yeah.
Do you sell any of her dresses at Kleinfeld?
No, because she doesn't make any bridal dresses. This was all custom.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
oh,
she
so
doesn't really have a line.
Her work is not specific to bridal wear.
No, although in every collection they'll finish off with a bridal gown, in collections. But
there it is again. Oh, I think we must have slowed it down.
Slow motion this time?
Yeah, that must have been slowed down.
And she applauded.
Oh, wait, did they just kiss again? They just kissed again.
Oh, there's the flyover.
I'm guessing someone complained.
I just want to. My mother just direct messaged me on Twitter and said, "Peter, I think your grandmother got her dress for your bar mitzvah at Kleinfeld." So.
Oh, really?
Wow! Tell her thank you very much.
He's our social media guy. Look at that. He's selling dresses online while he's on.